could I have your attention, please? Hello out there. It's getting better. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our 30-year anniversary celebration. Yo! Thank you for joining us and helping make this a special day. We are here to celebrate the time, talents, and energies of the people, past and present, who have helped make our company a success. So who better to attend but our active employees, our retirees, former American vice presidents, vendors, and friends. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce some of those folks. And I'm going to start off by introducing our 4 retirees that are here today: Mr. Larry Lindbergh, Hal Bentley, Steve and Diane Dumont. They're right over there. Can you? We got at least one, and there's Diane. And there's Hal right behind. They used to follow instructions a lot better. Now they're retired. Okay, thank you very much. We thought it was appropriate to invite back our former American vice presidents that served the company and were certainly a part of our history. And I'm happy to tell you that 5 of them were able to come back and join us today. Mr. Chuck Larson, Doug Anderson, Dave Maney, Don Weigel, and Jet Johnson. We're getting into it. There we are. Unfortunately, it wasn't practical to go ahead and bring back the many former Japanese executives which served our company so well. Next, I'd like to introduce 2 executives from our manufacturing facility in Nebraska, KMM, the President, Mr. Saiki, and General Manager, Stan Hansen. I want to introduce at this time our 1996 corporate-backed professional jet ski race team, which is less than 1 year old. And in their first season, they took not only the national championship, but also the World Slalom and Closed Course Championship. They're all here today: Mr. Bill Pointer Jr., Robert Flores, Victor Sheldon, and Minoru Kanamori. Give them a big hand. When they win, we sell product. Our last introduction is our former president and now director and deputy senior general manager of the Consumer Products Group, Mr. Ted Tazaki. And he's going to start us off today. We have 3 speeches, a couple special presentations, and then a upbeat video. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Ted.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope many of you still remember me. Well, I see quite a few familiar faces here. It's good to see you again, and I am delighted to be here to share this occasion with all of you. It was September of 1965 when I first landed on American soil. I had been sent from Japan to act as a technical service staff for Kawasaki motorcycles. I was then a 29-year-old young man with plenty of hair and the spirit to meet the challenge. Well, by March of 1996, Kawasaki Aircraft, 1996, Kawasaki Aircraft Company Limited had decided to establish the American Kawasaki Motorcycle Corporation to supply spare parts. I was assigned to initiate and assist with the company's incorporation. In this role, I signed on behalf of the company for its very first capital issue in the amount of $50,000. And so, based strictly on these formalities, I am privileged to say that I am the founder of KMC. Well, following that auspicious beginning, it is not news to many of you that I worked with you as a KMC's president between 1981 and 1987. When I assumed office, KMC was suffering from major difficulties caused by excessive inventories and abnormally high interest rate. It was a real headache and quite burdensome at times. However, I accepted the fact that I may have been cast in the role of unpopular president and took what actions I thought necessary to assure the survival of the company. Other obstacles creating confusion and difficulty during the early period of my presidency included cultural differences between the US and Japan, interfunctional conflict between engineering, production, sales, marketing, and finances, and lack of communication between the manufacturer, distributors, dealers, and consumers in the marketplace. I believe it's everything okay now. But certainly not all was negative. I often recall with some nostalgia that I initiated the construction of this KMC headquarters and celebrated the company's 20th anniversary at the brand new facility soon after completion. In October, KHI will celebrate its 100th anniversary. The consumer product group is a very highly positioned as a core business entity within KHI Japan. KMC is, of course, a part of the CP group, and I am very pleased with KMC's outstanding performance. I offer my heartfelt appreciation for your effort and dedication to the continuing success of the company. Taking this opportunity, I would like to, my personal proposal to create the sign of the Kawasaki among the Kawasaki group, like this, okay? This means a K. So K, I propose to create a sign because of the S or H cannot do this, okay? And also, this means a B, not Y. So K is a very unique sign. So this is my personal proposal, okay? One last thing before I close. I heard that Mr. Joe Fiorica will soon retire. He has made a great contribution to the success of KMC today. From its very early stages, he has worked together with the rest of us for the good of the company. We have shared the good and the bad, the ups and downs. I sincerely appreciate him and would like to say thank you, Joe. Thank you. I would be more than grateful if you should hold many memories of good times at KMC Life. Happy retirement, Joe. I hope you and your lovely wife, Sharon, will continue to enjoy good times. Thank you. Thank you, good time.
Thank you, Ted. Well, I agree with your comments, Ted, regarding Joe Fiorico. And he is going to be our next speaker. And he's been a major contributor to our business over the last 25 years. And he's also a personal friend of mine, and I'll be sorry to see him go. Mr. Joe Fiorico.
Well, thank you very much, Bob, and Mr. Ted Tazaki, thank you for those kind remarks. I appreciate it very much, and there's no doubt I will have very many good memories about my time with Kawasaki. Good afternoon to all of you, and I'm happy that I've been given an opportunity to share some of the past with you as we celebrate our 30-year history. These comments will be from my perspective, how I saw some of the past. Today happens to be my last work day prior to my official retirement, April 1st. So looking back is extra special for me. You may wonder why today's the last day and April 1st is my retirement date. It's because I'm going to take a month's vacation to get ready so that I can jumpstart my retirement on April 1. I joined KMC as an employee in June of 1971. Prior to that, I had called on KMC as an IBM representative for about a year. At IBM, we were expecting that KMC would soon lease a computer, and start a data processing department. And it certainly did do that, and we have a very fine department. It's hard to imagine this company without our data processing department. At that time, KMC was using the same service bureau and software as Suzuki, and it wasn't unusual for KMC and Suzuki to receive each other's reports by mistake. Obviously, it made us very happy when we got Suzuki's reports, but it didn't make us very happy when we heard otherwise. By the time I got involved with the company, a lot had already happened. A dealer organization was in place. Some of the original distributors that sales began through were gone. And direct distribution had started with offices and warehouses in New Jersey and California. However, there were still major parts of the U.S. and all of Canada that were handled by distributors. The final transition from a distributor to a direct distribution sales channel was just completed this past year. We can acknowledge that distributors, and particularly Kawasaki Midwest, Dave Maney is here today, and Rocky Mountain Kawasaki played a special role in the history of KMC. And I'd like you to give Dave a hand. He's here today. Shortly after I joined the company in June of 1971, Richard Nixon, former president, broke the post-World War II Bretton Woods Agreement. That agreement had been formed after World War II And what it did was it established the U.S. dollar as kind of the standard currency by which trade would be conducted. And then the U.S. dollar, in turn, was tied to gold at $35 an ounce. At the same time, Nixon imposed some economic price controls, which was a strange phenomenon for our country. He did that in an effort to curb inflation. Dealing with those price controls was one of my early assignments. This change by Nixon started the floating exchange rates that we are now familiar with and worry about. The wide swings we have experienced recently in the yen-dollar relationship make product pricing very challenging. It wasn't so long ago that it was 80 yen to the dollar, and currently it's over 100, so that's a big swing. Many believe that the dollar is now weaker than it should be against the yen, so some reversal and stabilization of the long trend of a weakening dollar appears possible. We hope so, because that would be good for our business. Even though sales in the startup years had gone well for Kawasaki, the brand was still relatively unknown. In those days, if you mentioned Kawasaki to someone, they might have thought you were talking about something Polish, perhaps Polish sausage. Kawasaki was not a familiar name. But not for long. Kawasaki launched a brand awareness campaign, and very soon the nation was humming and singing the Kawasaki "Let the Good Times Roll" jingle. The combination of good music and humorous TV commercials gave Kawasaki a lovable personality with the American public. The success of that early advertising effort is still with us, and everyone knows Kawasaki as the Good Times Company. Everything was looking great in the early 70s, and decentralization and regionalization were the key words. It wasn't long before KMC had offices and warehouses in Minneapolis, Atlanta, and Dallas, as well as the Newark and Los Angeles areas. 5 regions, each handling their own vehicle order entry, allocation and release, credit, vehicle and parts warehousing, and technical services. These were all managed at the region level. The company grew, and it took more and more employees to staff the needs of a decentralized form of organization and those systems that relied heavily on human needs. The start of the floating currency system in 1971 and the U.S. imbalance of trade gave serious concerns to a forward-thinking KMC about what might happen in the future. High tariffs to protect U.S. trade balance were a possibility. A weakening dollar against a strengthening yen was anticipated, and Kawasaki decided to open a factory in the U.S. And as you all know, KMC was the first Japanese motorized vehicle company to do so. A great idea, but the execution proved to be very, very difficult. Some may have wondered if Kawasaki had made a big mistake. However, in 1983, when President Ronald Reagan imposed stiff duties on large imported motorcycles, the Lincoln factory was there, and it was a great help. As the company evolved, product diversification became an objective for growth, sales balance, and to complement the seasonality of the motorcycle business. Diversification efforts led to the development of the jet ski, ATV, and utility products. All these new products have been produced in Lincoln with associated advantages. Along the way, KMC went in and out of the snowmobile business, a very costly venture. It would be an understatement to say that there was lots of action at KMC during the 70s. However, the problems were multiplying. The motorcycle market started to have problems. The industry was overproducing, and heavy discounting was needed. The snowmobile business was not going well, and there were many problems in Lincoln. Many dealers went out of business, and KMC had bad debt losses. Excess inventory, as Ted mentioned, and high interest rates were costing millions. By 1982, KMC had accumulated negative retained earnings of $82 million. and negative net worth of $39 million. To make things worse, KHI was having a difficult time with its shipbuilding business. Dealers were concerned that Kawasaki was going out of business. KMC had a credibility problem. It was time to stop the bleeding and turn things around. KHI sent $60 million and a new management team to help. The turnaround started in 1982. In August of '82, an article appeared in Business Week with the heading, "Kawasaki Tries to Stop Skidding." The snowmobile business was discontinued. The Lincoln plant became the direct responsibility of KHI. The key word at KMC became centralization. Vehicle order processing and credit functions were consolidated in Irvine, resulting in a substantial reduction in staff. KMC started direct distribution in the Midwest. Product inventory was tightly managed. Warehouse operations were improved, and labor-intensive functions were automated using various means such as K-Share. KMC found new ways to generate revenue with programs such as the Good Times Protection Plan, formerly the backup system. Through these steps, the company's break-even point was lowered and KMC became profitable. By 1986, business had improved dramatically, and KMC was able to consolidate from multiple Orange County locations into this great facility. We have enjoyed it for 10 years. Consolidating everyone here helped our overall efficiency as well as to provide a pleasant workplace for all of us. The Good Times Retail Credit Plan became operational in early 1988 and gave retail sales a major boost. Kawasaki Motors Finance Corporation also became operational in 1988 and helped reduce the bad debt expense, which had been a major financial drain. KMC enjoyed its best profit ever that year, and KMC's negative retained earnings turned positive. KHI celebrated the occasion. In recent years, KMC has enjoyed steady, profitable growth at good health. It seems as though the roller coaster ride ended. Nevertheless, there will no doubt be many challenges ahead to keep KMC growing, profitable, and healthy. For me, it's been an exhilarating work environment. There have been countless new projects and activities to make 25 years fly by. And now I wish all of you to continue the very best as you take on the challenges of the future. Please work very hard to keep KMC profitable and the pension plan fully funded. Those of us that are retired, including myself, are depending on it. Thank you very much.
So, Joe, I shouldn't put all the money in frozen pork bellies, huh? Thanks very much, Joe. You really will be missed. Now I'd like to turn the microphone over to Mr. Hank Hosoi, our Executive Vice President of Engineering, and he will make a couple 30-year anniversary presentations.
Thank you, Bob, and happy anniversary, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad I'm given the opportunity to speak before I got drunk. I'm pleased, briefly, the several presents which KMC received for this anniversary. And first of all, on your right-hand side, the painting in oils. This was presented by Dr. Oba, KHI president, in last October at Washington, D.C. dealer meetings. These are named Water Lily in late summer, painted by Japanese painters, Mr. Tadashi Asoma. I'm sure some of you remembers presented, but I'm sure very few remember what it was. This is a painting, is nice painting. And next, this is a byobu in Japanese, actually folding screen. The folding screen byobu is traditionally used in Japan as an ornament, a divider, a partition, and a cover like this curtain. So we have to consider about something to conceal behind this byobu screen. This is a beautiful painting over the gold base. And actually meaning these kind of plants show very happiness. And then other than the picture and the screen, we displayed the motorcycles. Exactly 1 month ago, KMC received several motorcycles and one snowmobile from Rocky Mountain Kawasaki. And 2 of them displayed today. And 1 bike, probably you understand later why we display 2 bikes. Of course, one reason is the space. Right-hand side, maybe it's a little difficult to see from behind. SG250 motorcycle. This SG250 was Kawasaki's first 4-stroke motorcycle, and 250cc OHV single, and produced 18 horsepower. Now I'm very comfortable to speak motorcycles and pictures. This SG originally was designed and manufactured and sold by Meguro Works in Japan. The Meguro Works is a very famous company and established in 1924 and was merged by Kawasaki in 1962. The SG250 was produced 1964 to 1969. This particular product, I'm sure, is 30 years, probably plus minus 1 year old. So this is the reason we display today. And the other motorcycle on your left-hand side, that's a KZ900B LTD. This is a first Japanese motorcycle cruiser, and also the first bike designed and manufactured in USA. This very motorcycle is a frame number is 00001. Actually, they never used on the street. Very new, and also it's polished and restored just like brand new machine. And other than these machines, today we displayed very historical commemorative products in this area. Very fast, very end, you see the JS400, original jet ski 400 watercraft, even produced in KHI, Japan. And then 2 bikes is in right-hand side is a B8 and the B8M. Also, the several bikes is displayed in the hall in between the warehouse and then Tim Green office. So please take a look today whenever you have time. These motorcycles, displayed motorcycle, is a by courtesy of Noam Bigelow, R&D, and his 2 friends, Mr. Dan Mazzuccini and Mr. Bruce Gilevich. Especially, Mr. Mazzuccini drove all the way from Northern California to bring and display the bikes. I want to say thank you very much again. And then other than this display, we have several presents and gifts from various companies. I would express many thanks to all the companies. Thank you very much. Bob, your turn.
Thank you, Hank. Please take a moment and look at the bikes there in the hallway. They're really great. And now the next speaker needs no introduction because he's our president, Mr. Henry Noda.
Thank you, Bob. So good afternoon, everybody. And I'm very pleased to celebrate KMC's 30th anniversaries with you and our distinguished guests. Thank you for coming. I think this is the greatest turnout I've ever seen. I especially want to thank you, Mr. Tadaki, for attending this evening in spite of his very busy schedule. As a matter of fact, Mr. Tadaki arrived just a few hours ago and returns the day after tomorrow to Tokyo. Welcome to former Vice President and retirees. As you have seen today, the progress you are a part of during early times has continued year after year. So we are very proud of that. Interesting fact has occurred to me about our guest. Although it may be quite normal for a sales company, but it's quite amazing that we have 4 leading vice presidents of sales here today. Thank you very much. And KMM, the first Japanese company in the auto industry to manufacture in this country, celebrated its 20th anniversary 2 years ago. Today, KMM and other KHI subsidiaries in the US have kindly presented KMC with an anniversary gift. These companies include Kawasaki Heavy Industries USA and Kawasaki Railcar, both in New York, Kawasaki Robotics Inc. in Michigan, and Kawasaki Loaders and Kawasaki Loaders Manufacturing in Georgia. Kawasaki Robotics and Kawasaki Loaders are KMC's subsidiaries. These sister companies have given KMC a water pond as a monument to our 30 years. It is just behind the reception desk, and I know you will enjoy the waterfall environment very much. Thank you, Mr. Saeki and other KHI companies. "30 years is very special to Kawasaki and to me. This occasion could very possibly be the last opportunity for us to see and listen to the actual persons who struggled with and enjoy the early period of Kawasaki. At 40 years or 50 years, this may not be the case. We are fortunate to be a part of this event. There are abundance of evidence and many people representing the history of Kawasaki here this evening. So I don't think it's necessary for me to refer to KMC history anymore. So let's talk about future. I have spoken on many occasions of KMC's midterm goal when I KMC become a $1 billion company. I am confident that will come, that will be reaching, that we will be reaching that goal in just a few years. Those sales, however, would never be materialized without product diversification, as well as the cooperative effort of our people. We now carry motorcycle, jet ski, watercraft, ATVs, mule utility vehicle, engine generators, multi-purpose engines, and hydraulic machines. I recognize that product planning and people are always at the top of the priority list for the growth. As a sales company, it has always been natural and necessary for KMC to deal with the human factor. Each customer buys what they appeals to him or her. Each dealer sells what he can make money as an individual. Individual employees work together and contribute according to their individual talents and taste for the good of the company. Even in the areas outside our company, we have consistently sought the assistance of individuals who are creative and supportive. So yes, we cater to the human. And KMC want to continue being a human-oriented company in all areas. So in my view, these two, product planning and a human being, are essentials. I wish to make them the driving force toward the next 30 years of success. Lastly, today is the last day at KMC for Mr. Komaya, Executive Vice President, Finance. He will be leaving for Japan on Monday, March 4th. So thank you again, Mr. Komaya, for your contributions. So contributions to KMC, and best wishes for every success in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Noda. This time I'd like to call your attention to the water fountain that Henry just mentioned. Over by our entrance. It will be a lasting memory of our past 30 years. And we would not have been able to build it without the help of KMM and the other KHI subsidiaries. So it's appropriate for Mr. Saiki, who's joined us today, to honor us by activating the fountain. Mark Nelson said 15 seconds it takes. There it is. Ho!
During Kawasaki's 30 years in America, the company has grown, evolved, and achieved many firsts we can all take pride in. Join us now for this short review of Kawasaki's history and success in the United States. Kawasaki's manufacturing heritage began in Japan a century ago, as Kawasaki Heavy Industries began to create the ships, bridges, trains, and planes that a growing world needed for commerce and transportation. In 1961, Kawasaki built its first motorcycle for the domestic market, a single-cylinder two-stroke that was remarkably humble considering what was to come. Kawasaki took its show on the road in 1964 with an eye toward entering the American market, the world's most coveted and competitive. Mr. Yatsumoto, the president of KHI, sent one Mr. Hamawaki to open the first American offices. Mr. Hamawaki made do with what he had to work with, namely an old Chicago meatpacking plant to open the parts service facility. At the same time, Mr. Iwaki was named president of Kawasaki's U.S. operation, and Alan Masick opened the first Kawasaki distributorship, which would later become Rocky Mountain Kawasaki. Soon thereafter, in 1966, the first American sales office opened in Gardena, California. Many dealers came on board once they saw the promise of the new machines and the expanding market. One of the first jobs for the sales office was to build brand awareness. After all, the name Kawasaki was quite foreign to most Americans, and there was some natural confusion as to what exactly a Kawasaki was. That would change with the A1, a 250cc twin-cylinder rotary valve two-stroke which offered a performance level unmatched by any street machine its size. To those who were excited by motorcycles, the A1 Samurai more than fulfilled their expectations. To capitalize on a growing interest in racing, Kawasaki quickly built racing versions of the Samurai and fielded a very large team at Daytona in 1968. The A1 Samurai was followed by the 350cc A7 Avenger. Kawasaki also built a few trail bikes, and a ready group of riders and tuners helped build them into a force to be reckoned as the 1968 Green Streak team took on the flat tracks of America. Then came something far more exciting, the 500cc Mach 3, the rocket with a sprocket, which blew the lid off the motorcycle world in 1969 with 60 horsepower. In clear terms, the Mach 3 established Kawasaki as the performance mark in America. Things really heated up for Kawasaki in the 1970s. The Mach 3 set sales records for Kawasaki and performance records for the men who rode it. By 1972, the Kawasaki triple lineup had grown to include a 350 and 750 as well. Together, they became the Tri-Stars. But the real star of the trio was the 750 Mach 4. It was a TV star as well, as Kawasaki developed its first ad campaign, Come Out Ahead on a Kawasaki, to help build essential brand awareness.
Come out ahead on a Kawasaki, you're ahead on a Kawasaki, out ahead on a Kawasaki, you come out ahead.
The campaign carried over to Kawasaki's growing dual-purpose lineup, which included bikes like the Trail Boss and Bighorn, names that fueled wanderlust and adventure for off-road riders. Around 1973, it seemed that growth in the motorcycle market was unlimited. Kawasaki brought out the Z1. 903 cc's of dual overhead cam superbike that was codenamed New York State. it immediately became the preeminent performance motorcycle, topping Cycle Magazine's 1973 Superbike comparison test. A team of riders set a new endurance record at Daytona, averaging 109.6 miles per hour for 24 hours. Daytona wasn't the only place records were being set. Bonneville was a mecca of speed. Later in the 70s, Don Vesco would put two modified KZ1000 engines into a Streamliner and run over 318 miles per hour. But the triples weren't finished yet. Complementing the new Z1 were further successes with the two-strokes through the mid-70s, with Yvonne Duhamel taking many victories in prestigious AMA Formula 750 events on the fearsome H2R. The Mach 3, Mach 4, and Z1 had well-established Kawasaki as an aggressive company willing to break barriers. In 1973, Mr. Hamawaki became president of KMC, and the company did it again by introducing a dirt bike for the sea, the Kawasaki Jet Ski Watercraft. Billed as half motorcycle and half surfboard, the Jet Ski Watercraft brought the freedom of motorcycling to lakes, rivers, and oceans across the country. The fun of the Jet Ski Watercraft also described Kawasaki's biggest marketing campaign to date, Let the Good Times Roll, which helped provide Kawasaki with a wholesome, fun image for the years to follow. The key ingredient of the Good Times campaign was to present Kawasaki and its expanding product line in a way that was welcoming and endearing to new riders of all ages and backgrounds. This commercial for the new KZ400 street bike, designed to combat the oil embargo, was patterned after a series of print ads inspired by Norman Rockwell.
Kawasaki lets the good times roll. Let the good times roll.
In 1974, the Good Times carried all the way across America to the heartland of Nebraska. The Lincoln plant would add nearly 1,000 jobs to the local economy and create a permanent link between the U.S. market and Japan. At the opening ceremony, KHI President Mr. Yatsumoto enthusiastically welcomed the chance to participate in American manufacturing. From frame fabrication to foundry work to assembly, the KZ400 was all American. In 1975, the first machine rolled off the line. But it didn't end there. The Lincoln plant began producing jet ski watercraft and snowmobiles and would soon be declared a U.S. foreign trade zone. In the years that followed, other bikes and products were added to the lineup, including the Voyager, Eliminator, Takati, and Bayou, as well as the new KX motocrossers. Never content to let well enough alone, Kawasaki forged ahead into still more new arenas. In 1976, the KZ900 LTD introduced a styling revolution that would reshape the industry.
There's something about a Kawasaki, something deep inside.
Backing this up was a variety of commercials and marketing strategies that presented Kawasaki's to consumers and fleet buyers in unique ways, including sales to police departments and lifeguard agencies, a starring role on the TV show Chips, the wheelie king Doug DeMocos, and the TV debut of the future Magnum PI, Mr. Tom Selleck.
Muscle you need. 400s, 650s, or 1000s. Street bikes that move as good as they look.
So don't let the good times pass you by. Don't let the good times.
In keeping with Kawasaki's record-setting history, the KZ650 proved its worth at Daytona International Speedway, breaking 8 records in the 750 class.
Able to set a world 24-hour FIM record, and that's what we're all here for.
Riding the Daytona Oval for 24 hours would be no mean feat. The track was expansive, the speeds high, and the day long. After 24 hours, the Kawasaki KZ650 had gone faster for longer than any production 750 had ever gone. Factory-backed motocross was fast and furious, and Kawasaki hired a young Jeff Ward to campaign a KX250. Ward would go on to inspire legions of Kawasaki weekend warriors and win 7 AMA national championships for Kawasaki. Mr. Yamada became president of KMC in 1978, just in time to help Kawasaki penetrate the snowmobile market. Kawasaki relished competition in snowmobiling, just as it did in motorcycling, and sponsored the Kawasaki Tournament of Champions. The 1980s brought a new KMC chairman of the board, Mr. Takahashi, and a new KMC president, Mr. Tazaki. The 80s also brought a new wave of music, a new line of Kawasaki motorcycles, and an aggressive new attitude, starting with the GPZ 550 and later the GPZ 1100 and 750. Riders could pick the machine that matched their budget and experience. True to Kawasaki's history, the GPZ 1100 was the first production motorcycle to break the 10-second quarter-mile barrier with an unheard-of run of 10.91 seconds. Eddie Lawson and Wayne Rainey also took it to the limit by winning 3 AMA Superbike championships on Kawasaki's in 3 consecutive years. Kawasaki broke more barriers with the KZ 1300, a 6-cylinder machine that put the Grand into Grand Touring. It would later become the basis of the Voyager full-dress tourer. As the touring segment grew, Kawasaki's innovative marketing programs were expanded to include Team Tour, a promotional display setup at major rallies and races. And the Ticket to Ride program gave potential customers the opportunity to try out Kawasaki's on the track. Motocross, ATV, and enduro riders weren't left out. At the grassroots competition level, Kawasaki initiated Team Green, a support program that gave amateur racers expert assistance to make them more competitive while strengthening Kawasaki's corporate image. The ATV market knew no limits in the early 1980s, and Kawasaki jumped in with one of its hallmark products, the KLT 200. This first KLT was a robust 3-wheeler that was a big seller. Likewise, the X2 personal watercraft represented a whole new realm for the wet setters. For the first time, 2 could play on one watercraft. In 1983, Henry Noda, then VP of Marketing, recognized that target marketing was critical for Kawasaki's continued growth and expansion. He conceived Good Times magazine, a direct mail piece that reached millions of target customers. It was soon followed by Good Times Touring. These publications were just in time to introduce the most important GPZ yet. The GPZ 900R Ninja was the first liquid-cooled Kawasaki sport bike that packed a 1-liter wallop into a 750 size chassis. The result, the world's fastest production motorcycle. The new 900 Ninja turned a 10.5-second quarter mile, but it was more than just quick. The 900 Ninja was a do-it-all machine that was as comfortable on the track as it was on a country road. The 900 Ninja's little brother was the all-new ZX600R Ninja. Compact, sleek, and powerful, it presented a new level of performance and handling for a mid-sized bike. First to be equipped with 16-inch front and rear wheels, the 600 Ninja truly did take it to the limit. From the track to the boulevard, Kawasaki continued to push the envelope by introducing not 1, but 2 new image makers. The muscular Eliminator blended 900 Ninja performance with a low-slung chassis that commanded attention. And the Vulcan brought a liquid-cooled V-twin into the Kawasaki lineup for the first time. Soon afterward, Kawasaki upped the ante by introducing the Vulcan 1500. At 88 cubic inches, this big cruiser took the honors as the largest production V-twin ever offered for sale in America. Kawasaki's publicity programs resulted in 2 coups for increased product visibility. Tom Cruise cruised through Top Gun aboard a Mighty Ninja, and Dukes of Hazzard's Catherine Bach became Kawasaki's official ATV spokesman. As KMC grew, it was time to move the operations under one roof. Ground was broken by Mr. Tazaki for the new Geronimo offices in Irvine, California. Shipping, data processing, accessories, and R&D were all united under one roof. The result, improved communication, efficiency, and a family feeling united. And a new series of ads and commercials introduced the growing line of Kawasaki vehicles in a highly focused and yet enjoyable way with the same familiar message.
Kawasaki lets the good times roll. Kawasaki lets the good times roll.
With the naming of Mr. Yurakusa as KMC president, Kawasaki once again expanded its dealer services with the advent of Kawasaki Motors Finance Corporation and provided the easiest way yet, the Good Times credit plan, for customers to get the good times rolling or floating with the bigger new JS 650 stand-up jet ski watercraft and the new TS sit-down model. Kawasaki gave personal watercraft buyers more choices and more performance and versatility than ever. The Lincoln Plan's country roots began showing as Kawasaki introduced the Mule 1000, its first commercial utility vehicle. Debuted at the Farm Progress Show, it was bullish on doing chores and mulish on the price. In the Dirt Wars, off-road star Larry Rossler joined Team Green and promptly went on an unprecedented winning streak. If the early 80s seemed competitive, it looked like the next decade would be even more so. Kawasaki recognized the competition, and the ZX6 and ZX7 raised the bar in the 600 and 750 sport bike classes to new heights. All of which left Keith Code smiling. The founder of the California Superbike School has put more riders through racetrack training than any other instructor. As the decade closed, Kawasaki's Maryville, Missouri engine plant opened and began supplying small engines to other manufacturers. The facility produced engines for John Deere, which quickly became the largest single Kawasaki customer. Soon afterwards in Lincoln, the 1 millionth unit rolled off the assembly line. As Mr. Noda was named president of KMC, there were more records and firsts. The little KE100 became the largest selling Kawasaki of all time, and the Good Time Owners Club was introduced. The ZX11's little brother, the ZX7, twice captured the AMA Superbike Championship, and along the way won the Daytona 200 3 out of 4 years, and the 750 Supersport Championship 3 years in a row. Kawasaki street riders certainly were also having a good time, particularly on the ZX11. With its largest four-cylinder model yet, once again, Kawasaki laid claim to the fastest and quickest production motorcycle ever built. A claim still unchallenged 7 model years later. And Jeff Ward became the only rider ever to win 125, 250, and 500 AMA Motocross Championships and the 250 AMA Supercross Championship. Equally important was Team Green's support of off-road racing. Team Green has won 7 Baja 500s, an unprecedented 8 Baja 1000s, as well as the AMA National Enduro Championship. Team Green riders have included Mike Kiedrowski, Donnie Schmidt, Ronnie Titchener, Jeremy McGrath, and the late, great Danny Hamill. Back on the road, Kawasaki's unique advertising approach continued with the Big Event print campaign, which drew thousands of riders to popular hangouts and destinations. The Kawabunga campaign followed, communicating Kawasaki's unique attitude in a memorable and exciting way. The excitement continued when Kawasaki unleashed the startling 900 ZXi, named Watercraft of the Year by Watercraft World. Confirming the success of the new ZXi series, Personal Watercraft Illustrated set an outright speed record on the 750 ZXi, running over 1,000 miles in 24 hours. What started out in 1974 as a few friendly little watercraft races had turned into war on water, as John Stevens and Minoru Kanamori topped the IJSBA World Runabout class 3 years in a row amidst some pretty tough competition. There was another kind of war on water, Hollywood style, as jet ski watercraft featured prominently in the Miami Vice Thrill Show and in Waterworld, the largest budget film ever made. All of which brings us to 1996 and Kawasaki's 30th anniversary in America. Kawasaki continues its innovation and aggressive growth with a buyout of Rocky Mountain Kawasaki and as a manufacturer of industrial equipment. But in the USA, Kawasaki's birthright and heritage is recreational fun. For 30 years, Kawasaki products have been known in America for their quality, unique style, and above all, performance. So as we head for the 21st century, let us celebrate the newest models. The 1100 ZXi Jet Ski Watercraft and the Vulcan Classic Series. The wildest factory customs yet, proving once again, the good times are gonna roll.